So in this segment, we'll be discussing this really awful interview Starmer had with Beth Rigby at Sky News, and Starmer quoting George Osborne, saying we're all in this together, and her saying, actually, I don't know about that. Just like we went under George Osborne, but this is honestly gaslighting, defensiveness, a really snide attitude. This is probably one of the worst interviews I've seen any politician give, to be honest with you. And I've been covering this for a few years now.
And for some of it, whether you like it or not, it will look to some people that we're not all in it together, that because of your position, you get privilege and freebies that other people don't have access to. Take GCSEs. There will be some people that would also want a private place, have a different environment where they would like their child to go so they could have a better opportunity.
So for context, Starmer effectively borrowed a flat from someone, or a living space from someone, so that his son could use GCSEs. Like, why his son couldn't go to a library or something like that, I have no idea.
Do you see how it looks to some people that there's one rule for you in terms of being able to claim this stuff that other people don't have access to?
Well, I think that's why the rules are there, to declare it. But look, every day...
Do you get it, though?
Every day...
Do you get how it looks?
If you're putting to me, Beth, that I should have stayed in my Kentish Town home and disrupted my son's GCSEs, that was the right thing to do, then I think you should put that to me.
Because, you know, when you say something like that, that's the answer. That's the question you want to answer.
OK, well, you're saying that you shouldn't have stayed in the home because you wanted to protect your boy.
I wanted him to be able to do his GCSEs, and any parent would have made the same decision.
There you go, but, him saying any parent would have made the decision. Not every parent has that option. That's the point. You know, that's what she's saying here. You look out of touch because you have access to things people haven't, and you've taken advantage of it. Now, you could argue any parent would have done it. Not every parent has that opportunity. You know, you could send your kid to the library, you know, as long as your local council haven't closed it down because of Tory budget cuts. That is very possible. That's where they could have gone. I mean, you live in London, like you could take the train, the underground anywhere, you know, to a library, and you find a local library pretty easily. In that context, this is abysmal.
But I don't wake up every morning thinking about that. I wake up every morning thinking I've got a mandate to change the country. I've got a mandate to improve living standards. I've got a mandate to improve the health service.
I'm trying to talk to you about the optics of it, Prime Minister. If I go back to what you claimed in opposition, 4,500 on holiday accommodation, 16,000 on clothing, nearly £3,000 on glasses, over £35,000 in football, concert tickets, rugby, the races, over £17,000. There might be human reasons for it, but do you understand the optics of it when you are the Prime Minister that said you were going to do politics differently? It looks like you're claiming loads of freebies.
Well, no, and I agree. You know, the framing here is actually really good. You know, especially when he's the person who's saying we're all in this together, and yet you're taking all of this money, all of these gifts from people. Potential conflicts of interest. There's another story I'm actually going to discuss, but it's probably worth just throwing it in here a little bit as well. Google provided £10,000 of hospitality to senior Labour figures, and the party ditched plans to raise the digital services tax. You know, you got Quadrature, Cayman Islands hedge fund, which invests in fossil fuels, donates £4 million to Labour, and its climate advisory board co-chair is now the climate envoy for the UK. You know, the optics of this are really bad. But that first one there, that 10k, you know, are UK politicians that cheap? 10 grand, and you would drop a tax on digital services like Google and Amazon. Is that it? Really? Crazy.
Do you get it, even if you don't agree with it?
I've given you my explanation, and I can't improve on that. If people think that my decision to try and protect my son's GCSEs was the wrong one,
I've not seen a group of politicians throw their kids under the bus. Maybe if Boris Johnson had been a better father and some of his kids actually lived with him, he could have said, well, you know, I had to renovate my flat because it was a tip. You know, I didn't want my kid to live in a tip. You know, I had to get all of these takeaways for my kid because I wanted him to eat healthy. Maybe if Boris Johnson actually was a good father, all he had to do was throw his kids under the bus. You know, all of these Labour MPs, these ministers who went to the Taylor Swift concert because the FA paid for their tickets, you know, they all threw their kids under the bus saying, oh, you know, it's not my fault. You know, my kids really wanted to see Taylor Swift. And, you know, maybe if Boris Johnson was a better father, he wouldn't have got into as much trouble as he was in with his blatant corruption.
free to do
there's
so.
lots of other things in that it's not about your son.
If people feel that,
yeah, because he wants to address the kid point, because he's like, how can anyone really question a father who's doing what's best for his son? But he didn't answer the point about his glasses or his suit or anything like that.
I should insist on sitting in the stands at Arsenal, notwithstanding the cost to other people.
The clothes, the concert tickets, there's other things in that.
Well, on the clothes, I mean, look, in the general election campaign, we're busy, and lots of people want to help, and in this particular instance said, well, I can help with sorting out some clothes. In opposition, that's one thing. What I would say now is...
But you think these people wouldn't expect things from you in opposition? Do you not think, because you have it in the US, where certain companies will donate to both political parties in order to guarantee a winner? Do you not think that a little bit of that was going on?
I won't be doing donations for clothes again. There won't be any declarations like that. But look, I think that's a matter of judgment for individuals. And Beth, I might just gently say, Sky invite us to quite a lot of hospitality events. Your summer party is a great party costing thousands of pounds, and you invite me every year. Presumably you want politicians to continue to come, and part of that is...
So, I mean, can you see that, the bit of a threat there? It's like, you guys are, hold parties, you guys invite us, you really want that to end, you really want that access to end, those kind of exclusive interviews, the scoops, mingling with politicians, maybe, that's how certain journalists end up with roles in comms teams for politicians. It's like the revolving door in news and politics for whatever reason, because they end up as journalists or whatever in the media, they end up in the comms team somehow, and then they go back to the media.
How politics, and that's why the declarations are really important.
What I'm trying to get to,
yep,
which I think I can see, but perhaps you can't, is that for some people out there, it looks like you were going to do politics differently, and now they're seeing that you're claiming for lots of freebies, and it feels less of a clean break, and to some, a sort of continuity Johnson of getting rich friends to pay for stuff.
Well, I've given you the explanation.
But do you just not accept that? Am I just...
I understand why you're
on
asking
a different
questions.
Page?
I understand why you're asking questions. Of course you're right to ask questions, and because you've asked questions, I've given my explanation about why it is that I don't go in the stands at football now, why it is that I wanted to protect my son in his GCSEs, why it is that, my judgment call has been that when you've invited me to the Sky party costing thousands of pounds...
Just the fact that he's mentioned the cost there, saying like, you guys want access as well, whatever, it's ridiculous.
Every year. I've accepted that invitation and come along.
And you would see that as a work event? Would you see a Taylor Swift concert as a work event, for example?
I think it's a judgment call for each
So you
MP.
don't want to change the rules?
I think it's a judgment call for each Member of Parliament.
So you're not going to change the rules, just to be clear, you don't think the rules need reviewing in light of some of the backlash?
Well, on the question
of the public...
No, I think he's Tetchy, he's defensive here, saying, how about, these Sky News events that I set up, my poor son who needed this space in order to study for his GCSEs, even though libraries exist, like these Taylor Swift concerts and whatever, he's looking pretty out of touch, in my opinion. I don't think this was a good interview at all. I think he could have done much better than this. And, he's asked again about the flat thing. This one's a bit better in terms of, like, the way he's trying to justify it. But even then, like, this idea that, just because he has access to these people doesn't mean he should take it. Because again, the average person doesn't. How is that fair, if that makes sense?
Freebies, if I can call them those things. You need a £20,000 flat so your son could do revision. It makes you look out of touch to many people. A Labour MP for South Shields, Emma Buck, gives her freebies to charity. She gives them away. Why won't you give things you've had for free back to charity or to a good cause?
Well, all that happened is I wanted somewhere safe and quiet for my son to do his GCSE preparation. I needed it to be secure because of the situation we were in. No exchange of money. There's nothing to give away. Somebody said, well, I'll lend you my place.
But it's worth £20,000.
Yeah, but that then what happens, as you know, with declarations is people say, well, I know there was no money exchange. I know you didn't pay and nobody paid you. There's no money to give elsewhere. But we will sort of not make up, but we will say what would be the amount of money should it have been given.
So with this, I think it's a much better answer, because he's got to write in, an amount or whatever. But I think with this stuff, like, it was Lord Ali who let him use the flat, and it's Lord Ali who has what appears to be interest in, allegedly, in offshore tax havens. So, when you look at what's Lord Ali's endgame here, it will. I think we can see it a little bit with some of this kind of stuff, why he's giving these kind of donations, etc. With this first interview with Rigby, I think this was abysmal. One of the worst ones I've seen, definitely from Labour's side, potentially ever. I think it's tetchy, defensive, argumentative. I think, saying like, well, Sky hold all these events. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to, kind of that kind of angle of it? Because, ultimately what Sky are buying is access by inviting politicians to these summer events. Same way the Spectator do it, same way all of these papers do it, really. It's just to gain access to politicians, curry favour with them, and be buddy-buddy with them, give them scoops and things like that. It's just shocking. The whole point of the media is to hold politicians accountable, and in the end they're just having drinks with them. It's kind of sad, to be honest with you. But, that's the way it goes, and that's why independent media is actually doing okay. You won't catch me at one of these events, that's for sure. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you want, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.